Yeah, had to push my faith over my fear. Now the kid is lighting up, I'm on that alley gear. Ric Flair.
What's the name of this podcast again?
The time is ripe.
The time is ripe?
Because ripe.
Pun intended. Okay.
Yo, pun goes hard.
Don't do that to me, yeah.
What?
Don't do that.
Did you just do the spirit fingers?
I'm counting down. I was trying to give you all a chance to, you know what?
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We're going back in time.
What's up, fam? Welcome back to the Time is Ripe podcast. My name is Scott Smith. You are here on the Time is Ripe. It's the podcast of Ripe Creatives. We are a ministry based in the great city of Philadelphia. We are a creative community, and we do a lot of beautiful things here in the city. And on this podcast, we go back in time to discuss events that happen within the Ripe community, things that we produced, put together, or things that we partnered with others on. And today we have an amazing episode in store for you guys as we go back to June 2nd, 2023. There was a thing that happened called FOF Fest. That's FOF, Faith Over Fear Festival. It happened in the great city of Philadelphia. And the people who were ultimately responsible for FOF Fest taking place are in the room with me. I got a couple of guests here to break this whole thing down. First guest, you already know this man because he's on every episode pretty much. Mr. Jarrett Top My Moses.
Hello.
Welcome
FOF
back.
Fest.
It's going to be a good episode, Jarrett.
I'm glad you explained what it was because I remember I didn't know what FOF stood for until the day of the event.
You thought it was FOF Fest.
I didn't know what it was. I just kept calling it FOFest.
FOFest. We're doing FOFest today. That's the voice of Jarrett Top My Moses, and he's the one who puts this whole thing together. So thank you, Top My Productions, for all you do. My other two guests in this room. First up, we got a returner from season 1. One of my favorite episodes of season 1. We went back in time to talk about this man's concert. We did a creatives concert with him. It was an amazing show, but also an amazing episode. His voice has not been on the podcast since, but today...
But he has been mentioned.
He's been mentioned many times. But his voice is back, finally. Doc Hero, ladies and gentlemen, back on the pod.
Yeah, I'm glad to be back, man. I'm glad to be back.
It's always a joy to have Doc Hero on the Time is Ripe. It means we're doing something right if Doc Hero's in the room.
It means we did something fun if Doc's in the room.
That's a fact. Doc does not hold back. We have one other guest here to break this whole thing down. It is his first time on the podcast, but ironically, years ago, I was actually on his podcast that had a very short run, Ready, Set, Create. You could probably find it still on Spotify. But it did not have very many episodes because my man ripped his pants.
Wait, I didn't hear about this story.
It's actually your fault.
Please tell the story. Please tell the story.
Hold on, before we get to the ripping of the pants story,
Doc.
I do need to introduce this man. Stars and Bars Creative Co., Philly Wedding Films, the man behind the van called Comcast.
Oh, God. Take them keys right now.
Take the keys. I know him affectionately as Shawn Prez. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Shawn Prez to the podcast.
Good morning, good evening, good night, whatever time of day it is. What's up?
We're super excited to have you, Shawn. I've known Shawn for years, and before we dive into the pants splitting story, because it's a good one, Shawn, can you just give a little bit of context for who you are as, a first-time guest on the podcast? Pretend people have no idea who you are. Can you just introduce yourself a little bit?
Well, no one knows who I am.
Everybody knows who you are.
No, they do. The Doc Hero podcast, we talked about, your vital role in it all. You and me working together in the back, and even
Good Soil.
Your name has been mentioned. Your name
has been mentioned on this podcast.
I'm the Silent Force.
You're part of Canon Worship Fest.
The Silent Force, and yet we were telling the story about how you like to run up on stage with traffic cones and stuff on your head.
This is true.
You have been mentioned, but for the audience that doesn't know who you are and what you do, please explain who you are, but also explain a little bit of context of how you got connected with the Ripe picture overall.
Yeah, so my name is Shawn Prez, born and raised in West Philadelphia. I
think there's a song about that.
Yeah, it is.
Please don't sing the song.
Bro, we've had so many people on the podcast that could have that song.
Yeah. I mean, we're based in Philly, but, we're not smacking people on, Oscar stages and whatnot.
Facts.
So I'm the creative lead at Stars and Bars Creative and Philly Wedding Films. Stars and Bars is a one-stop creative shop. We do website design, graphic design, videography, and photography. And also we branched off and created this wonderful brand outside of that called Philly Wedding Films, which has won the Knot and Wedding Wire Best of Weddings for the past 2 years.
What is
Yes,
the
it
knot?
has.
So the Knot is one of the leading wedding directories for brides and grooms to find all their vendors.
Ooh, okay.
My man is winning awards left and right as a wedding filmographer,
Yeah.
videographer.
Do you want to say that again?
Facts.
No, I was having fun with it.
Cinematographer.
Cinematographer. There you go. You're making movies out here.
Yeah.
Sean is a beast. He also, I don't know if he will say this or not, but I have always been impressed by Sean's ability to produce events at such a high caliber. There's a lot of kind of canon stories in the great city of Philadelphia about Sean's ability to take an idea, typically that Doc Hero has, and bring it to life. There's like an infamous story of doing like a 90s show kind of throwback, and you went around the city and picked up random old tube TVs off the side of the road, and somehow finessed making them all work together and made an entire set design of it. Sean has a great eye for lighting. Early on in throwing creatives events, Sean was one of the first people I called to get his perspective on lighting and space and venue stuff and how to make things better. Even helped me at the Philly project back in the day with the bubble wrap.
Yeah.
Remember that?
I remember that, man.
So a lot
it
of
reminded me of a lot of things.
We've done a lot of things over the years to make things that would have looked one way look a better way.
Yeah.
You just have an eye. You have a creative eye. So, very much appreciate you. Now,
All right, we're not skipping it.
We can't
Pants
skip
split
it.
story.
so we're shooting the podcast, Ready, Set, Create.
Yep.
We're shooting it actually at the Mance, ironically, where Rick and Abel lived. And we're in the room. We shoot the entire thing. I think you were there shooting the video, right, Doc?
Yeah.
Doc was in the room.
Doc was on the other side of the camera.
Yeah, Doc was shooting this. You remember it now?
So I had this podcast. It was called Ready, Set, Create. And we were doing a bulk shoot. So we had Rick Harmony. We had Scott at the Mance. And while we were filming said podcast, Doc was doing the video portion because I thought that was like a very critical element as far as how it was going to go. And the interview went great. I think the audio might be up somewhere.
Yeah, I think the audio exists.
The audio did make it, but the video did not because when I went home to edit the video, my crotch was out.
So the video didn't make the cut.
No. My pants didn't make the cut.
The pants made a cut. They made some type of cut. None of us
like,
noticed, though. That's what's
Right,
crazy.
yeah.
Either that or you guys are really bad friends.
I did not
I
notice.
didn't notice.
Okay.
It was like the booger hanging out the nose kind of situation.
Oh, it was bad.
But
man.
I was like, dude, just release a video. And he was like, I'm not doing it. Like, there's no way. It's
Absolutely
so bad.
Absolutely
Oh,
bad.
man.
It'd be really funny if you just put a blur mark over it and release the video
I don't
anyway.
want to get demonetized before I get monetized.
There you go. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Yeah. Well, that is the greatest introduction in the history of introductions here on Time is Right. So as I said, we're talking about a specific date and time, June 2nd, 2023, FOF Fest. You guys, Doc and Sean, I would love to hear, because, we're talking about a specific date, but FOF Fest predates June 2nd, 2023. This has been a thing that's been happening for a long time. So can you guys give a little bit of history lesson on FOF itself?
That's a better question.
I got you. So FOF Fest was not originally FOF Fest. It started off as Mayhem.
Yeah, start off as Mayhem.
So why don't you go back and talk about how Mayhem came to be?
Okay, so this is how Mayhem really came to be. So, of course, as an artist or whatever, you're always constant trying to get like on people's shows and stuff like that. And during this era, it was the cafe scene. That's what we called it. So in the beginning of it, it was always hard for me to get on these cafes or whatever. Eventually I was able to get on them, just stuff like that. And I was like, okay, cool. So like, let's try to get on some better quality events. Kept trying to get on those, kept getting denied. Then I met, a couple of, I guess you would say the top artists during that time, which are still probably at their tops now. Met one of them one time, kind of gave me the cold shoulder. And it was like, you know what? I'm going to just create my own lane. And from that, we birthed like the concert. So I came to Shawn, was like, yo, I want to put on my own concert. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I'll get the venue. Let's try to make it happen. And then literally like probably like for that first one, like at least like 300 people showed up. It was
So funny thing is, I wasn't a part of the first one. That
You
was
wasn't?
No, that was you and Deuce.
crazy.
That was you and Deuce.
Wow.
I didn't like you at the first one.
I'll crack it up.
I didn't
No?
like.
What year is this range wise?
So funny
Like the
story.
first
So
year.
Facebook Memories is teaching me a lot right now because it seems like we've always done it around the same time of year. It was actually 11 years ago.
We probably should have had Deuce here too. Deuce like knows
Deuce
like,
is like the actual historian.
Who's Deuce?
Deuce B.
Who's Deuce? It's a callback from season 1.
Deuce
If
B.
you missed the episode, go check it out.
If you're ever around Deuce, Deuce has every flyer categorically organized in his camera roll.
That's what's up.
It's very weird. It's almost like Rain Man.
he knows he can tell you what
What
when,
day it
He
was.
can tell you what
where,
show was
what
good,
time.
what
The
show
weather,
was not
the weather
good.
that day,
You know?
what he was
Man,
wearing.
This is a good night, bro. This wasn't a good night, bro. He has all those flyers.
Shout out
So,
to Deuce B.
It was Christ Mike at the time before it was
Yeah,
FOF.
it was Christ Mike before it was FOF.
And you and Deuce had did it. And at the time we were doing WTUW as a radio station, and you guys were on the Rock Hero show. And we were still somewhat beefing because these guys actually gave me a lot of crap on my show.
They gave you crap on your show?
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I was.
They
I was-
came to your show
We
and
had
they
like
gave
a
you crap?
syndicated show, right?
Yeah. So they had their show that came on at 10 o'clock. My show came on at 8 o'clock, right? So I was the new guy, and they put me through the ringer because I didn't sound like them.
Yeah.
I was bullied.
You were bullied by
I was
Doc
bullied
Hero.
by Doc Hero.
It was mainly my homie John.
Now it's his homie John.
It was. I did tag along, but John would always make sure he had shown every time.
Radio guy, February 8th.
Wow, that's a pretty good impression of yourself.
I'm a radio
right
guy.
there.
Yeah, it was all
That's me doing an impression of John doing an impression of me. It was very bad.
That's hysterical.
Hi, John.
So just to like, if you missed it in the comedy 11 years ago,
Yeah,
they started this whole
that was a cough, not a laugh, right?
Christian
There's a
hip
little bit
hop,
of both.
Okay.
Yep, Christian
hip hop new lane in the city of Philadelphia. And what I can say, anybody that has eyes to see would say it's the only lane that has continued in 11 years, really. I mean, there's been some different things, ancillary things that have popped up here and there, one-offs. But you guys have had that longevity here in the city of Philadelphia, creating platforms for Christian hip-hop artists for 11 years.
Yeah.
In 2019, you guys threw a big show at Venice Island. A couple of the Ripe guys were supposed to be on it. Some things went down. They were not on it. It's part of our origin story as a ministry in some ways. It was a big part of kind of some changing within our world at that time. The following year, though, was the pandemic. 2020 happens. Everything's dead. 2021, Philly was still a little bit behind most, places down south or out west. Like they were coming back. Philly still wasn't.
Yep.
2022 rolls around. You guys didn't throw an FOF Fest or Mayhem or anything else. And I think basically in the fall of 2022, I called Doc and I was just like, dude, what are we doing? Like, are you guys going to come back and do something? Like, cause what's happening for CHH in the city? And it started to clarify things for me. Like, if y'all don't do it, it's not going to happen. Right? It's kind of what I said. And what's interesting is now, Doc, you work here where we're actually recording this episode. Shout out to the Story Factory, which is in part a venue, right? They don't want to be called a venue, but it's kind of a venue. Yeah. And we throw our creatives events here over the last few months. If you've heard episodes about our galleries, they've happened here at the Story Factory. You're now on staff here. You work here. And all of the other events, you had to go find a venue, go find sound, go find engineers, go find everything to throw it. Now you work in a space where a lot of that stuff already exists. How do we, this feels like a win to try.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was like in the fall of this past year. And then it was like, let's just figure out a date. And that's whatever happens, but let's at least try. And my side, Ripe Creatives was just like, whatever we need to do to help in terms of, like fronting some resources to get some gear over there, fronting some resources for the sound engineer, helping out with the DJ. Like, we just want to do our part to try something again. Yeah. Is that how you guys kind of remember it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly how we remember it.
The way I would visualize it is kind of like you walking through a forest with a shovel and just like digging this out of the grave.
I don't know if I would go that far.
That's just the imagery. I was like, man, Scott really, he dug, man.
Yeah, it just felt like, because our whole philosophy, and Jarrett knows this, is like we partner. Everything we do, like we don't try to reinvent the wheel. Ripe Creatives could throw poetry events. We don't, because Two Lines exists, right? Two Lines Philly every second Friday. Yeah. People within our Ripe community are running that. So we're not going to go throw another Ripe poetry show whenever somebody in our community is already doing something.
Yeah.
Doc and Shawn, like even not being in Ripe in that sense, you guys are still adjacent to us. You're part of the family. You guys have been invited to family nights and stuff like that. We've done events with you, like the Germantown Block Party, the Creatives Concert. You've even been to my house in Newcastle, right? For years, like you're part of our family. So if you have the skill set to throw a Christian hip hop show, why in the world would we try to throw our own version of that? Why don't we just come alongside of what you guys are doing and make it better? So that was kind of the heartbeat there.
Which that was like very helpful. And also too, I'm also glad that we built like that like relationship, and we had like multiple chances to do like partnership with do different things. Cause in the past, like we definitely have been burnt when it comes to like other partnerships, like that just kind of went really south. Know what I mean? To the point it was like, hey man, it just gotta be us. So
wisdom from experience.
But over the time, like I said, what we build with you guys is trust. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what everything you need. I feel like when it comes to events and doing partnerships and everything like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it goes back to even our initial connection point was the first village, right? So like it's kind of a crazy story. Shout out to Luis Marrero. He used to have a space called The Dungeon.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. That was a crazy story how that happened.
Yeah, so I go to a fundraiser for artisans. Shout out to Jasmine Tate, Jasmine Janae, Jasmine Wheeler now. But Jasmine's running an event called the Artisans, or a group called the Artisans, kind of a precursor to Ripe in a lot of ways. And they had a fundraiser event for their group. And at that fundraiser, it was like a silent auction kind of thing where you bid on items. And my wife and I, Darlene, shout out to my wife, love you. We went into that night knowing we were going to give X number of dollars to support artisans. Like we'd already prayed about it, talked about it. We're going to give this amount of money tonight. When we walk in, we're, going to write the check just to give it. And on the silent auction table was The Dungeon. And the price that was listed to buy it, to purchase it through the silent auction, was the exact same amount of money we were going to give anyway. Right? So it was listed there as like, you can bid on this. Nobody had bid on it. Right. I don't know if anybody bid on anything.
When you say buy it, like to rent it for
to rent it for a day.
Okay,
rent it for a
gotcha.
day.
Okay.
It was like silent auctions, people offer their skills or services, right? Jarrett at a silent auction could say, I'll give you 3 hours of mixing if you give money to this nonprofit, right? I can do the same thing with poetry workshops or, doing a show in your house or something, right? Yeah. Joy Ike does this all the time. She used to do this like as a blessing to ministries that she loved and supported. I've always appreciated about her. So Lewis puts The Dungeon one night on the list of things to bid on. So I just put my name down with the amount to bid, and we were the only people who bid on it, so we got it. But I didn't really need it. Mm-hmm. I was just doing it because it was the same amount of money we were going to give anyway. So now I have this chip in my pocket, and I was like, I'm going to go give this to Doc. Because we had already met and connected. You'd come out to the Philly project. And I just approached you with that building, with that space for a night. Right. I said, this is yours. You can do whatever you want with it. And then you took that and started a whole movement called The Village.
Yeah.
All right.
And so even when we were planning out FOF June 2nd, there was some talk about, do we resurrect The Village because of our history with The Village, even more so than FOF. And you guys kind of said, look, if we want to bring it back big, we need to do FOF because that's the big boy. Can you just give a little bit of context for The Village, though, itself, too? Because that's a part of this whole ecosystem of what you guys have been doing.
I would say the how the Village came about was, I feel like our heart has always been like for the artists too. So like giving, artists that we believe in a platform, and also like other artists that like we might not even be aware about, to give them a platform. So we usually book about like maybe like 3 to 4 artists just for that event. But then we have like some time slots where we give opportunity for people to join us on the open mic. And that's when we're able to discover the talents that's here in this tri-state area, to the point where it was people, literally traveling to get down here to get on some of these events. So I would say that's pretty much where that kind of like that idea of The Village and that name, and try to like create that culture, like we are a village together. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a thing of kind of like giving people what we didn't have overall. Like when we were trying to do events and things like that, like it was so hard to have good production or good sound and things like that on an event. So it's like, yo, let's create the space where it's not a GMO. We call it GMO a get me out of here. It's like if you go to an event venue and they have like bad sound, or, you're not welcome as an artist. Like you got that angry D. It's like, all right, come on, do your thing, get on out. It's like, no, we don't want to do that. We want to give you a space
That's
where
GMO.
That's a GMO.
GMO.
That's a GMO.
I'm learning some stuff right now, yo.
There you go. Yeah, get me out of
I
here.
had plenty of those. Plenty of those.
Watch, he's going to be referencing that at the next Creatives Open mic.
Yeah.
We ain't a GMO, guys.
There you go. There you go. There you go.
Probably. No, I hear that. Like I was actually going to say that. It sounds like you guys were trying to meet the need of what wasn't meant for you.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like you're literally creating something because it's not existing before you created it.
Yeah.
Which is a space to raise up the next generation. And we do that with Creatives Philly, right? And that's cross genre, singer-songwriters and poets and hip-hop artists. But you guys were doing specifically like Christian hip-hop. And you're right. People did travel in. I mean, you had guys come in from like Michigan. You had guys come in from Western PA. You had those guys come in from the South. Shout out to Aaron Cole, Ty Brazel.
Yeah.
Before they became Aaron Cole and Ty Brazel, they were on the first Village as basically like open micers in some way. I mean, they were given like a slot as Rapzilla freshmen, but they didn't know anybody in Philly. We didn't know who they were.
Right.
But you guys are so generous with the platform. They're like, we want to put people on. And so that was kind of a thought. Do we go the Village route first on June 2nd, or do we resurrect the big bad boy called FOF Fest, Mayhem kind of lens? And the thought was, because nothing had happened really for 3 years, it was like, we got to go big from the jump.
From the jump.
And then hopefully the Village can be an add-on down the line, something that
Keep
also
building.
comes back and keep building off of, to build towards the big festival kind of once a year.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a genius plan, guys.
Thank you.
You think of it all. Let's get to, we've been talking big picture, but let's get to the actual planning stages for this. Once the name was settled, we're going FOF. I know, shout out to Rosaline Rodriguez. She is not a graphic designer, but has become a graphic designer for us in ways when we need it. And you had seen a flyer that she did for our Penn State gig. We have an episode about that if you want to check it out. But Rosie did the flyer. Ant was, talking to you about set lists and set times and stuff. Jarrett, from the very beginning, though, just goes 100% all in FOF.
Listen,
My man.
Listen, I just said we're going to have fun and we're going to make it look cool because I don't have the opportunity to do that with very many other events we do.
That's what he said.
I looked at our inventory of lights. I looked at the inventory of other people's lights that I could grab, and I was like, all right, we're just going to throw it all on the stage, and I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's very true. To the point where it's like, I was like, Jarrett, I think
You and Shawn.
Yeah, man.
I think we got enough lights.
Yeah.
It's like, no, brighter, flashier. And then I was like, oh, that stage isn't big enough. Hey, Scott, let's go get our stage.
That also happened. Jarrett, this is one of the things I've appreciated so much about Jarrett is willing to do the work to make things the best they can possibly be. And I think that's how I operate. And I think, like, for me to have him in my life has been like a kinsman thing. Like, we always joke about that, you know, first time we met and I asked you to be my sound engineer forever. But it is true, like, because I saw the same work ethic, the willingness to do the hard stuff, the willingness, like, things go wrong at events.
All the time.
And my experience with sound engineers is typically it's not my fault. It's their fault on stage, because it is. Jarrett might say that, but then he goes and fixes the problem.
Right.
Every time. And that to me is like, all I care is the effort. Like, do what you can with what you got.
Right.
And Jarrett is willing to do that to 100 million miles an hour. This podcast exists because of Jarrett. This podcast would not exist because I came up with an idea for a podcast to, you know, share with our supporters and have great episodes about events that we did. It only exists because somebody's willing to do the work and has the skill set to do the work. So when Jarrett got brought in from the outset, it was like a game changer from the sense of what was possible, because you have the venue, you have sound, but now we have crazy level lighting and a really solid engineer. Now we can get really creative to make this thing a spectacle. You know, regardless of how many people come, what happens on stage is going to be crazy. Yeah. And that's what kind of the feeling even going into the event, with all the planning that went into it. Is that fair?
Yeah, and not only that, like, somebody that's skillful and that talented when it comes to engineering, somebody willing to actually do, like, the hard, ugly work, like actually bringing and lifting in the stage and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that people don't actually see that goes on behind the scenes, the real heavy lifting. You know what I mean?
Sweat equity.
So I really appreciate all you guys, what you did for that event when it comes to the real heavy duty lifting, because that stuff is hard, man. Like, very hard.
Yeah, we probably went a little bit overboard.
Nah.
Nah. Just enough.
Nah.
Not enough.
We did bring in the extra staging to make it bigger and give like a catwalk feel to it,
Which was amazing.
and it looked really,
It
really
was-
good.
It's great.
It was great.
One
part
of
of
the
it, part of it with it was like, this was like an experimentation of everything, because we've gotten to use some of this equipment before, but we haven't gotten to use it more than once or twice. And even then, it's like we didn't have a plan of how to set it out every other time we want to use it. This gave me a chance to be like, all right, if we set it up like this, everything can come together in this layout on the stage, and we know it's effective and it works. Right. And so I know some of this now for like future reference of how to put things together, how to get the staging to really hold itself together and be solid. It was experimentation and practice.
Yep. And I mean, shout out to the Story Factory, because you guys, for years, whenever you've done these events, you've gotten a rental agreement with a venue that you don't have a real relationship with. You're just a tenant for the day. You get in there at X time and you got to be out by Y time. And you have to come in completely set up from scratch, do sound checks, run the event, enjoy the post-show event hangouts, then tear everything down.
What post show?
And then,
Right,
and then
it was-
get everything out the same day.
I think I was probably one of the only guys that probably enjoyed like the post show, because they were taking care of business while I was out there.
That's what Shaw's saying.
When I'm out selling merch.
Honestly,
those
it was
guys
when we were setting up for this was trauma, because Jarrett was bringing all this stuff in, and my mind was trained like, oh my God, how are we going to get this out in 2 hours? It's just me and Jarrett. Jarrett, don't do this. Jarrett's like, no more. I'm like, brother, you don't know what's coming on the other side of this gun.
Nah,
But that-
I know.
That's
So this makes it a game changer.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But that's the thing, right? We brought stuff in on Wednesday for a Friday event.
Yeah.
Right.
So we had 2 days, 3 days of like finessing and finagling things.
Yep.
That
Which
it
we needed, actually.
Yeah, we needed
did.
all of it.
We did.
We needed all of it to be able to get what we got on Friday night.
Without
We needed
killing
Wednesday
ourselves.
and Thursday. And I just think that is like such a testament to the relationship with Ashley and Elijah. We love you guys. Thank you so much for
Absolutely.
helping us with creative.
Clap it up one time.
Clap it up one time. Pop, 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 pop. But that's how you get the final product. Is there was the ability to make it great, not just in one day, but over the course of days.
Yeah.
And how do we dream this stuff up? And I mean, even when we brought the stage in, we didn't actually physically know which way we were going to set it up. We had to buy skirts for a bunch of different differentiations of how we were going to set it up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't know because we had never done it. So once we got here and we started to set everything up, it was like, oh, this is the best case scenario. Let's do this. Same with the lights, right? Yeah. It was just
we had
like
talked about stage layouts a little bit, but we hadn't picked the actual shaping that we were going to do.
For sure. Yeah, there was just no way to know if it would work until you try it.
Until you try it.
But that whole, the Story Factory dynamic, just really, really amazing. Yeah. Shawn, I think it was funny because you got brought in a little bit later. I didn't realize that until Ant told me like a month leading out to the show because you had been super busy with work and life and stuff.
Yeah.
So you were just not as involved on the front end. But then that last month, you kind of took over and I was getting texts. Here's the run of show. Here's the notes. And I was like, oh, it's amazing to watch Shawn work because of the way that your brain works. So shout out to you for all that stuff, man.
Thanks, man. I mean, like, my thing is always like the very small, minute details. Because I feel as though that's a pivotal part of like making everything work. How many artists did we have on this concert?
10, right? Altogether?
I think it's 10.
Yeah,
10
artists.
Yeah.
Normally that would intimidate a lot of people. As far as like how that structure goes, because there's so much chaos that goes into that. And then people go overtime and things like that. So just like having like the logistics of, hey, your set's going to be this amount of time. Hey, we also don't have a host. There's going to be like stinger videos that play in between in order to make sure that flow consistently goes. I think that was something that we figured out probably maybe like our fourth event maybe. And it's worked every single time.
Yeah, I was blown away by the like, how do you do 10 acts with no host to facilitate?
Yeah.
And those bumper stinger videos, whatever you want to call those, it was phenomenal. I mean, it was like it was what you would see at a legitimate large scale festival.
Yep.
Right? You don't have an MC host saying, give it up for Taylor Swift. You know? Like there's a video that drops and the lights go down and then the lights come up and she's walking on stage and the band's hitting ta ta ta. And then she's off, right? And it was the same idea on kind of a little micro Christian hip hop in Philadelphia scale, but still the excellence was all the way to the roof.
Yeah.
You know, on everything. I just was blown away. And that's what I've said since the very first time I met you guys and saw what you did. I was like, man, they throw the best shows in this space. Like they just do. The shows themselves are so well produced. The excellence is so high. As somebody who was working for a ministry organization that was trying to put together little nights that would have artists in them to go to a legitimate show where every detail has been thought out and picked and curated to be perfect. I was like, oh, dang, like I want to work with these guys for sure. Yeah. Like they're the best in the business. So shout out to y'all on that end.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it.
The digital marketing even, so fire. You guys, like your ability to, I mean, you're a videographer, you're a cinematographer, you're a movie maker, Shawn. But those pieces of content, like releasing those ahead of the show, you had people coming out of the woodworks from like 20 years ago being like, Doc's back, let's go. You know?
That was actually all Doc with the video portion, man. He's quite the editor.
Doc has become a video editor in his old age.
Oh my God. Please edit that out.
I'm teasing. But let's just work through the run of show. We talked about there being 10 sets. Like who was the openers? Q-Flow Prodi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to Q-Flow Prodi. You guys did like a little tag team kind of vision.
So they're very big.
Kind of like they're kind of like their gimmick is like they have like a song or something like that. They call it tag team.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's kind of like their thing. So we just kind of say, hey, we could make something happen. So Shawn, or the original plan was to have ladders and stuff on the stage and to fit them to start the show off on ladders. And I said, I don't think that's a great idea.
It's a wonderful idea.
Nah.
Like the
Only because
wrestling
from a
ring
liability side
Sign a
of
waiver.
things, like,
Sign a waiver. Sign a waiver. If you sign this waiver, I'm not responsible. Now, if you want to do it, you can look great or you can be mediocre. I'm not a mediocre guy because we've all been to the mediocre shows. So it's like, yo, if you're going to do something that's going to make an impression, you got 15 to 20 minutes in order to build an audience. That's not your
Sean's
audience.
still tight right now.
yeah, well,
I'm tight. You know why I'm
Sean,
tight?
you need to get some waivers. Then you need to work figure
Work with
that
a
part
lawyer.
out.
Get something
no, you need
actually
to get
legally
like,
binding.
get something.
I don't need a
notary
lawyer.
in here.
I got an AI bot that'll write it up right away.
Chat GPT.
Chat GPT. No, Jasper.
You got Jasper? Okay,
Yeah,
you got
Jasper's on it.
Crack
Jasper's
it
on
up.
it.
Jasper.
But funny story. So we did our debrief after the concert, right? And DJ Ant, shout out to DJ Ant. Was it DJ Ant that said it?
To what?
What are you saying?
That we should have had him start on ladders.
I think it was. And,
Was it Ant?
Yeah, I think
Literally.
I think it was.
He was like,
Ant was
why
like,
didn't you guys have him on ladders? I was like,
y'all should have started them off on ladders.
It's like,
I was
thank you, Anthony.
You gotta be kidding me.
I'm cracking
it was an
up.
excellent idea.
6-footers, right? Not the big ones.
It don't gotta be 12-foot
could've
ladders.
been
I don't want you to
6-footers.
fall. I just want you to stand up. So then that way it's like, yo, like it's starting off different.
It's
Like
a WrestleMania.
it's a
concert.
WrestleMania joint. Like I'll never forget. I think it was probably like Mayhem Summerfest. You and Drew had the American church thing, right?
Yeah.
We got an American flag and we hoisted it up in
that
front of
was
the stage.
so cool.
And we had like this like backlight that was like shining through and you saw their shadows. So when they started the song, the flag dropped. It was like, yo, that's amazing.
That was really
It was
fun.
a moment.
Moments. You got to create moments in your concerts.
Yeah.
But you still created a moment with
I finessed.
the
I settled for a
tables.
ladder and no, I settled for a table and 2 chairs.
And then Kenny wanted somebody to pit him through the table. Shout out to Kenny for
Also
helping
an
out
amazing idea.
on that night
That would have been
as
sick.
well.
Yeah.
Next
Get it-
Shout out to
Next
Kenny.
time.
We'll get a stuntman for the next show.
Yeah.
Bro.
Have somebody go through the table.
But shout out to Q and Prodi. They killed it. Came up
Great
on
way to kick
stage,
it
did
off.
their
They did.
thing. Great way to kick it off.
Fire.
And I mean, Q and Prodi in CHH nationally are doing great.
Yeah.
Right? Like they've just been killing it. Really in the Rapzilla ecosystem, doing the Critique Friday stuff, releasing new songs, getting feedback, getting better. The growth in Q in particular from as long as I've known him, because I've known him since he was a kid,
it's
basically.
been amazing.
It's unbelievable to see where he is today.
Started in FFG. How about that?
right.
It's crazy.
I don't know what FFG stands for, but I remember that's what they were called.
Right. It's a bunch of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shout out to Q Flow. Prodi as well. Beast. He got that North Philly in the building
North.
on lock.
Christian Sunni.
Who is after Q and Prodi? Was it KP?
KP. Yep. I got
KP.
the schedule right here.
Which is crazy. Like KP, like she's from like back in the day.
Formerly known as Lady JTO.
Lady JTL. So when I saw her like popping up back on the scene, like she's back out there killing it again. I was like, oh wow. And then Scott was like, yo, we need some, some females to represent on this event. I was like, that's a good idea. And I saw her pop up. I was like, oh, let's reach out to her. So I reached out and she joined the party.
Kiana
Parks.
Parks, KP. Make sure you check her out.
Yep.
Dope lyricist. She had a cool aesthetic too. Her visuals, like she had the
She has a
visuals
lot
for
of
every
good
song.
like videos out there.
Yeah,
like
stuff
her
that.
being like a reporter and stuff up on the screen and stuff. It was just cool. I was just like, I love whenever people take their craft seriously in whatever ways that they, find avenues to differentiate themselves and
Yeah.
make themselves stand out. Shout out to KP. Who was after KP?
After KP, we went to ARAM.
A-Ram.
Anthony Ramos. We have been doing a lot of stuff with ARAM over the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Shout out to ARAM.
ARAM has gone on a Philadelphia tour in the last 4 weeks.
Yes, he has.
He's
Yes,
been
he
on
has.
everything and killing it.
Yeah, he's a beast.
He also hasn't done the same set. He's done like different songs each time, which is amazing to me. Like,
Yeah,
it's
he's
not
got a
like-
lot of music out.
It's not a rhythm of just like, all right, I'm just going to do this 10 minutes and just recycle it. He's reinvented every time.
Yeah, he's also a family man. He got like 17,000 children.
Yeah.
We one of me and Jarrett's favorite jokes was we said the only should I not say this?
joke.
Father ARAM.
No, we said that's
what
a
was
good
it?
one too. I said the only guarantees in his life are death, taxes, and ARAM's wife being pregnant. She is always with child. Hallelujah. Praise God for y'all.
Lord.
Big families.
Amen.
Thank God he found that funny when Ant sent it to him.
I thought
He's
it was
either going
hysterical.
to laugh or be upset.
I was like, all right,
It was a risk. It was a risk.
Let's see where this goes.
It was a risk, but he thought it was funny. But Aram was on the Germantown show. Luke Billman's son actually was a huge fan of Aram in particular, that event. We did the God in the City conference the last couple of years. We haven't done episodes about that just because Aram's a family man, so it's hard to get him actually on the podcast.
But he's like one of the main organizers for it, at least for the evening event of God in the City.
Yeah, Aram's doing amazing stuff here in the city for youth and churches and with Esperanza, the school and everything else, but then also as an artist. And shout out to him. He just did an amazing thing. The Operation 10 City at the Convention Center had every right to take that set for himself and go perform it, and decided he was going to take it and give it away to friends with him to do something better than he could have done on his own by doing the John 3:16 thing at the Convention Center. Man. Major kudos. That's like our heart in this room is always giving stuff away and uplifting the next generation and giving other people opportunities. When I'm on, you're on. To see other people carry that same heart, I'm ride or die team Aram for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
So shout out to Aram. He killed his set too. What was after Aram?
All right, after Aram, we had Unwanted.
Oh my gosh.
Oh,
I want to give this guy a whole bunch of kudos, man. And it totally took me off guard because, maybe in the week and a half leading up to the concert, was just reaching out to everybody. I reached out to this guy one time, and it was a very awkward start. Hi, is this Unwanted? And he was like, I was like, well, I don't know your actual real name in order to say anything different. And he told me his real name. I won't reveal it here, that whole Clark Kent thing. But in that week and a half leading up to FOF Fest, he called me and talked to me about everything but the concert. And I was really, really kind of taken back a little bit. I was like, wow, I'm actually getting the opportunity to kind of pour in and, get ministered to in some ways as well, just to kind of not be so focused on the work, but actually building a community inside of this.
I love this kid so much.
So much.
I love him. He's 17 years old.
Yeah.
Beyond.
One of my favorite people right now.
He's
Definitely
17 years old, guys.
Wow.
Think about that.
What
was I doing at 17? Oh my gosh.
And he's one of those 17-year-olds I can actually sit and have conversations with.
Yeah.
Legit conversations.
Not like you, all right, man, I gotta let you go. Legit,
it's really
real
cool.
conversations.
Really
It's
cool
amazing.
to witness.
Super
Amazing.
dope.
And he happens to be phenomenal.
He has very, very, very talent. He is your rapper's rapper. He's that kid.
Yep.
Absolutely.
He's a beast.
He's going to be around for a very long time.
We've known him for a little while. Shout out to Jamil. He was the person who introduced me to him originally for creatives. He said, I got this 16-year-old kid, 15-year-old kid. He's a beast. He's starting. He's getting things together. He's got real talent. He's very raw, but he's got real talent. Can he do a slot of creatives? And I was like, yeah, he'll be the opener. And he came in, he killed it. But from then to now, it's not even in the same ballpark how much better he's gotten from that first time I saw him to now. It's like night and day. And he was good, but then he's great now.
He's really good.
If
And I
this
don't
is
say
what
that
it
about
is-
too many artists. He's really good.
Yeah, he stole the show in a moment. Like it was his show.
Yeah.
When he was up there. You guys had a funny moment watching him because Clay was in the building.
Yeah.
Clay was in the building.
Clay was there. Clay pulled up a very big surprise, which is actually funny because leading up to the concert, we were throwing out out there ideas yo, we got to get Clay back and have him come do a set. He actually showed up to the concert on his own. It was wow. And then I'd never seen Unwanted perform ever until he was literally on stage. And when he's there, I'm like, man, he seems a lot like Clay. And then literally I look down and I see Clay, and Clay is looking like, man, he looks a lot like me. And then I'm looking at Tiff, Ant's wife, go over to Clay as he's looking like, he look a lot like you. It was hilarious.
It was. I even went up to Clay. I was like, yo, this kid reminds me so much
like the second
right
coming.
Now. Like, this is crazy. This is wild right now.
Almost like a doppelganger.
Yeah.
And is even like outside of the music, their hearts are very much alike. That's the thing that almost kind of like gives me goosebumps. It's like Holy Spirit's like using that kid like in a way, man.
Yeah.
So cool. So cool. One thing before we get through the rest of the set is I remember by that point, you, Jarrett, and Elijah were like clicking on all cylinders on the lights.
Oh, locked in.
Yes.
You guys were fully locked in. By the time Unwanted came up, like the look of the show started to get like, what in the world did we just walk into? Like, how is this $10? You know, like all these people that are here watching. I mean, like a legitimate professional light show, basically, with like 4 different sets of lights.
2.
Right?
Yeah.
2.
But I'm saying your lights, my lights, High Points lights, Raph's lights, and
Two
Story
lighting-
Factory.
I'm saying
Oh,
2
God.
systems.
Yeah.
All of them, it's being run by 2 different systems. Not one system like it should be technically.
Right.
But it is 2 separate systems doing their own thing.
Yes, 2 separate systems, but in the sense of nobody went and said, here's $30,000 to buy lights. Let's put a light package together for you guys to go do shows like this. It was some of Raph's warmers, some of your warmers, a lot of your other lights, all of Ripe Creatives lights, some of High Point's lights, and the Story Factory's in-house system lights.
The next door people lights. Everybody lights.
We took all the light bulbs from my key and brung them too.
I took them out of the bathroom. But seriously, I'm just saying, like, for you guys to take stuff that was never necessarily meant to be designed together and make something that looked that good, it was incredible.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible.
was mind blowing.
How was it for you up in the booth, like working with Shawn and Elijah?
The hard part was just communication because it was hard to hear, but those headsets that you had were lifesavers. Oh my gosh. Although there were times where I'm just like pulling the mic down and I'm like swallowing the mic so that you actually hear me. And then you just yell over and I'm like, I can't hear you.
My bad. I didn't turn the, there's a control on there that fixes that. I didn't know you were struggling. My bad.
I am cracking up.
We'll fix
you
that for the
just
next
turned
time.
the volume up.
There's a button on there that just fixes that.
You didn't
That's so
got to turn
funny.
on
I
noise
thought he was good.
cancellation?
I was fine.
Oh, yeah. That's
No, you like weren't pulling your mic down to talk. You were just like, yeah, let's go blue. And I'm like,
I was driving. You got to keep both hands on the wheel.
I'm cracking up.
bro, I was running lights and
This is
sound.
true.
You can't
This is
drive and
true.
talk at the same time.
This is true.
Jared was running sound and half
We were like, you ever see MIB when the aliens are like at the desk? That was us.
Yeah. It was funny because one of the things you guys all said after the show, once we'll get back to the run of show, was just the you had wished that you had recorded the booth
Oh yeah, that was
because
magic.
of how like much magic was made between the 3 of y'all, seeing stuff and being like, oh yeah, blue, 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 red, 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 white, 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 like to make it like work together.
Yeah.
That would have been such a fun thing to like look back on and watch and share with the world. Like you sometimes will see worship teams on Reels or TikTok sharing their like MD communicating with the band and how they're coming out of a song into a new thing.
Yeah.
Like it was kind of like that level
Just like
of
that.
coordination. So, shout out to y'all as well. Shout out to Unwanted. He killed his set. His energy on stage. His rapping ability is disgusting. We love this young man. We can't wait to see what the Lord does with him. And I think it's awesome that like there's relational connectivity with him with y'all now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's what I've always wanted for him is like he needs a couple big brothers. Because I just think he's at a vulnerable place in life. Being 17, he's going to make choices over the next couple of years of his life that's going to send him in one direction or another. And I think it's really going to come down to who are his big brothers. If he has negative influences, I think his life could go a totally different direction. If he has positive influences, I think Unwanted could be a household name within Christian hip hop in this country
Yeah.
in a couple of years. Genuinely believe that he's that talented.
Oh, yeah. 100%. No doubt about it.
He's tough. Who was after Unwanted?
So after Unwanted, we went to Demir. Amazing set.
Demir killed it. Demir brought Mikey in on drums.
Yep.
Yeah.
Demir always kills it, man.
So funny story. Demir's set came together the night before, visually the night before the performance. We had been kind of like going back and forth with like text messages and stuff like that. And he gave me the songs and we came up with the visuals that like were like on screen and like the lighting cues and everything like that. Came together like amazing. One of my favorite sets of the night.
Yeah, Demir always kills it.
Yeah, I especially love that one particular thing you did on his set. I got a text. Kenny came up to me and was like, "Hey, take Demir out in the hallway and do like a video." I was like, "Okay." So I go out there and do the video. I send it to Shawn. When it's time for Demir to come up, it looks like he's live.
Yeah.
So people was like, "Oh my gosh, where's the camera? Where's the camera?"
The illusion of production.
I was like, that was genius.
Yeah.
That was well played.
I love that you trust me enough to do it and not ask questions.
I was like, look,
I'm glad you understand him enough to know what he meant on the first try.
I didn't know at the time. I didn't understand it. I'm just like,
okay,
I'll
Hear a
do
video.
it.
text message. Take the mirror in the hallway
and
and get a video of him testing a microphone. Sends it to me. Perfect. Play.
Boom.
boom.
This
Action.
man's a creative genius. Shout out to Mr. Prez. The president himself. Who's after? Demir killed the set. Mikey, by the way, that was the first time Mikey has played with any of our guys. Mikey, the drummer. And he goes to Christ Community Church, plays there for worship. 18 years old as well.
Wow.
A beast.
Very humble.
The kid. Very humble, very sincere, very talented. And this is a wild story about Mikey. So Demir sends him his set, right? He goes and learns all the songs. Mikey gets on Demir's Spotify, looks at his projects, and sees Preface as his most recent release at that point. So he's like, oh, he's probably going to do Preface because it's his newest song. Right. So he goes and learns Preface. 2 days later, Demir texts Mikey, hey, I think I want to do Preface. Mikey says, yeah, I already learned it.
Oh, wow.
Talk about preparation.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Talk about taking the opportunity seriously.
Yeah.
Right.
And wanting to be like a professional. I was like, oh, this man trying to get a check. Like Mikey wants to do this full time.
Yeah.
Like, he wants to be a drummer.
And that's the ones you keep. I'm letting you know that now. That's the ones you keep.
Tips.
If you hear this, Demir, that's the ones you keep.
Shout out to Mikey.
Yeah,
Demir as well. You killed your set, man. You always do. That kind of felt like the middle of the night, like we were heading towards the final chapter of the night. Mm-hmm. After Demir was who?
So after Demir, we had Rick and Abel.
Abel on a co-joint, 20-minute set.
20-minute set.
So all the artists did like 10-minute sets. That's how you have 10 artists in one night. Otherwise, we would have been there for 12 hours.
Correct.
So everybody did 10 minutes, but Abel and Rick decided to join, where you guys actually decided for them that you wanted them to do it together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like Q-Flow and Prati had a joint set. Mm-hmm. You wanted to have another tag team set.
Yep.
And Abel and Rick obviously made a ton of sense.
Yeah.
Rick and Abel, they
just mesh well together.
They do their thing, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen them perform together more than I've seen them perform separate.
That's probably true. For you, yeah. That's
for me.
Probably true. A lot of the like book gigs out where one of them is booked and one isn't. Obviously, I'm there, but definitely in Philly, you've probably seen them do more together than separate.
I love that they do collaborative sets, but they're still individual artists.
Right.
That's really important.
They're not social club misfits.
Right.
Correct.
You know, they're not a duo. They really are their own individual artists, but they've written some songs together, like Ripe Takeover and They Don't Know, like All Day. They have three. They usually have those three that they can do in a co-joint kind of set space, and all of them do well. And it helps that like a lot of people in the room know their songs.
Right.
So there was like a value when they came out on stage. You kind of heard them roar a little bit because people knew their music, because their music has kind of gotten out there a little bit more in the city because they've been more active.
Yeah.
Than some of the other people in terms of performing locally. Shout out to Abel and Rick for killing their set.
Yeah. They actually produced one of my favorite moments of the night. So
yes.
You did this, you sent them out to go around the community and pass out flyers when the concert started or right before the concert started?
Before, like during sound checks, when people are waiting around for theirs or they've already done theirs, I always do that. Like I'll send our team out in the community. If somebody's sitting around, they don't have anything to do, but they're like in and they're excited to help. I say go tell people about the show. Like just go out and meet the neighbors, because I think a lot of times God can do stuff with that.
Right.
I even have a wild story with me and Demir last April, like a long time ago, in Downingtown. We did a show, and we got done with sound check, and they're like, "Yeah, you guys have a couple hours to chill." And I was like, "Demir, let's hit the park." And we just went down to the park and hung out with like 100 skater kids, and a lot of those kids ended up coming to the show because we just went down and like shared in their culture. Right, I just used my phone to create videos, like to shoot videos of them skating, and then I would airdrop it to them. And they're just like, "Who are these guys?" Well, we got to show up the street. Well, they came because we built a little bit of a rapport with them.
Yeah.
We could have went down and just stapled up flyers, but if you go down and spend time with people, a lot of times that can happen. So I always, there's an opportunity to do that, I try to send people out to do that. And Rick was like, "Yeah, I'll go right now." Unwanted one too, actually.
Yeah.
He went too.
That was really powerful. When they were
And I've
down
always
there.
seen like Rick do that like throughout the years. He does a great job of just like connecting with people, just out and about. I think that's amazing. I always feel like everybody can't do that, but I feel like he just has a real gift at like just connecting with your everyday people.
That's going out and making disciples.
Yep.
That's it. But when they were out, he sent a text message like, "Yo, it's this group of kids. They want to come to the show, but they don't have the money for the ticket." I was like, bring them.
Bring them.
It's a couch in the front row. We brung like couches out and sat them on the front row. No one was sitting in the couches. I don't know why, but bring them and sit them on the front couch. Like, of course.
Yep.
I mean, it's one thing, like, of course, we want you to purchase tickets and things like that. But at the same time, if the mission is to go out and make disciples, how are they going to come unless we give them an opportunity to come?
Amen.
Not going to put a paywall on the gospel.
No.
Amen.
It's not a get rich system.
And I think the reality is, guys, like those kids will never come. Not to say they will never, because God can do whatever He wants. But they are less likely to get up on Sunday morning and come to your church.
Yeah.
But on a Friday night, in the same space, there's a hip hop concert that speaks their language and testifies to the goodness of God.
Yeah.
The Holy Spirit can use that. And it'd be awesome if they came to church. But there's a lot of people not coming to church in our city, but they go to concerts. And if we can give something that's excellent and pure and powerful, right? Like, and is well done and speaks the language of the people that we're trying to reach,
but good
then
shot
you can actually reach this next generation, you know? So, yeah, shout out to Rick for going out there and
Super dope, man. Kudos.
hitting the block, so to speak.
So that's going to be a new common practice for these events going forward.
Yeah, we have to do it.
Yeah.
You know, and especially like if we do it in relationship here, Story
Even
Factory,
leading up to
Change
it.
Church,
Yeah.
like the weeks leading up, like let's as a church, right, get out and hit the block, pass out flyers, connect with people, invite people to the thing that's coming. Use
their
the flyer
neighborhood.
as a ticket. Right, if you bring the flyer,
Yep.
you get in free, kind of thing.
Yep.
I think that those types of things are really helpful. Now, if you're hearing this and you buy tickets to come to FOF Fest, you still need to buy your tickets to come to FOF Fest because we do have to pay for all this stuff somehow. But
Yeah.
Shout out
Support
to
your
y'all.
local artists.
Abel and Rick after them was Synovia,
No, Drew
No?
Smith. Oh,
Drew.
I'm sorry.
the Dreamer,
The Dreamer.
There you
The
go.
Dreamer.
There you go.
the
Dreamer.
Dreamer.
The Dreamer.
The Dreamer.
Drew. We love you, Drew.
Should we explain why we keep saying The Dreamer?
Probably.
Sure, go ahead, Sean. It's an
So-
inside joke for the audience.
Welcome to the inside, guys. So, our brother, Drew Smith, he is our brother. He's my annoying big brother. Here's the thing. So, he's been around for a very, very long time, and he's had many names. He's gone by A. Smith.
A. Smith, that's how I met him.
He's gone
That's
by
how I met him.
Drew Smith.
Smith.
In my phone, I still have him as Andrew Smith because I have too many Drew Smiths that I know. But in this specific run, he's identified, please identify me as The Dreamer. It's like, okay, cool, no problem.
No, it's the Dreamer.
Now it's The Dreamer.
Yeah, and then the flyer said Dreamer, and that's why he got upset.
I was
Because he
gonna
didn't
say, I
say
heard he
The
got a
Dreamer.
little salty.
But his
Oh, he's super upset.
the reason being is because
He DM'd me.
He wants you to be able to type in The Dreamer and have his music come up. If you just type in Dreamer, his music's not going to come up.
And it's spelled DREAMR. No ER at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. Spell it one more time, Scott.
DREAMR.
You forgot the THE.
THE.
Space.
DREAMR.
And aren't you supposed to capitalize the last R or something?
Yeah, you have to capitalize it. Otherwise, the songs don't come up. No, I'm teasing.
I was about to say, I was on the trial. Like, what?
This is why, guys, it's very important to make sure you establish your brand.
Yeah.
Google your name and make sure you buy all the domains up front.
Shout out Shawn Prez.
Shout out to Shawn Prez.
Shout out to the real Shawn Prez.
There are many, but I'm the one.
But the Dreamer.
Yes.
Love you, Drew. Drew kills it every time. Yeah. He's such a performer, and his songs are good, and he always does something unique and different that like just makes him like he's not just a rapper, like he's an artist, song creator, and he's a moment creator with his sets.
And he has a different tempo, so I think he does well with the kind of like laid back tempo, and still has a connection with the crowd.
Yes.
There's a difference between artistry and being a rapper.
Yes.
It is a big difference.
You want to explain it?
So I would say there's a million of rappers that I know in the city that they rap way better than me. But I feel like when you're an artist, right, you can take those abilities of writing songs, of rapping, of singing, just taking so many elements and bringing them as one, and then also thinking out like, okay, how will this song like portray live? Like, how would people be able to view this? How would they be able to connect with this? What would this look like on screen? What would this look like on video? What would this look like if I had somebody running lights? And how would this sound through the sound system? So like as an artist, you think about so many other different elements versus just like, you know, you're probably like just really good rapper, which they're really good at just rapping. So 9 times out of 10, they need a whole entire team to like pull other elements and put other things together. So I would say that would be like the big difference of a rapper and an artist. Artists we're going to try different things. We're just going to try it. Like, I might sit here and come up with a song. You know, I want to do a song where I just want the song to be 30 seconds and see what happens.
Shout out Rick Harmony.
Yo, I'm cracking up.
He has a 30-second song, really?
Minute 10, I think.
Oh, it's not bad.
It's a
he
TikTok
doesn't have
track.
many over like 2:30.
I mean,
Just like
it's a little better than Maverick City, whose songs average about 12 minutes apiece.
Maybe 16.
It's like different things.
Right.
Like, even one of my songs that I'm going to give a release, I record, instead of going to the studio, I felt like it had like a really just like, I wanted to be like more raw. It's like, I'm just going to record this on my phone underneath my sheets. I'm going to send it to the producer. I was like, yo, however you feel, I want you to create around it type of thing. And that's what he did.
Yep.
And the song just came out how I actually wanted it to come out. I was like, okay, this is what I wanted to feel.
Shout out to the Dreamer, man.
The Dreamer.
He's an artist.
He's an artist.
He really is. And he's an artiste. And he also, like, I've never really seen him do the same set at these types of things. It's always something totally unique.
Yeah.
And I always appreciated about that. Like, he might have a set that he's like, oh, I know I can kill this set. But he's always trying to find some way to do something different or do a new song or do a song he hasn't done in a while in a different way. Yeah. Like, always trying to pull out different elements.
Key thing is the storytelling element in your set as well. Like, a lot of times you have this notion of, I have to fill all the dead space with talking or things like that. Like, if you have production elements, let your production elements tell your story. Like, you don't have to talk through every single transition through a song. Like, if you got a dope ending in your song, let it sizzle, let it breathe, you know, let lights go off and let things like that happen. So then that way it's like digestible. It's like, yo, this is an experience versus just me just listening to what you're saying.
It's good. You better keep talking to the mirror, my friend. You know what I'm saying? Final 2 sets.
Final
I believe Synovia.
Yep.
Synovia.
Synovia is a
queen.
freaking superstar.
She is.
Oh, yeah, she is.
She's a superhero.
Her last few weeks after June 2nd
Yeah,
have been unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
We had an opportunity to go see her at the Ardmore Music Hall, which is a massively influential
wonderful.
venue,
Amazing.
and she killed it. I got to see her perform at a Juneteenth event in Germantown, on the block on Germantown Avenue, killed it. And she has gone from being Synovia, the poet, rapper, freestyler, singer, songwriter on guitar in the coffee shop, to a full-on, full band, 5-6 piece team, percussion, drums, keys, bass, electric, doing her thing, dancing on stage, singing, getting people moving. It's incredible to watch the butterfly effect of Synovia.
Synovia has arrived. She has arrived.
Absolutely, man.
Like she did a really amazing job with FOF Fest, and like I said, that show that she did, that was crazy. Like, just to see her in her element. I think they did a live recording with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if the recording was good, I mean, that's always the challenge with live recording, as Mr. Top Mop would know. It matters more what you recorded than how it sounded in the room to get a live recording. But yeah, hopefully it comes out as an album, because she killed it. She absolutely killed it. I mean, it's just amazing to see the development and growth in her as an artist.
Yeah.
It makes me look in the mirror introspectively like, Scott, what are you doing, bro? You're still doing the same thing you were doing 10 years ago as a poet.
But going back to what we were talking about, what's the difference between rappers and artists? I would say there's a difference between singers and artists, and that's what she is. She's an artist, because I feel like you never know what you're going to get from Synovia. She's that creative.
Yep. She had a different swag at FOF Fest than she had at Ardmore Music Hall.
Right.
Intentionally. She's like, hey, what's the audience like? Oh, it's a hip hop concert.
She knows her audience.
My swag's going to come with hip hop. She does flex probably 3 to 4 different ways. Mm-hmm. She's not going to do flex here the same way she's going to do it for an outdoor festival somewhere else.
No, that's fair. That's absolutely fair.
Know your audience.
Artistry.
Know your audience. Listen, little nuggets are here for the taking if you need them.
The fact that her set was so amazing is more evidence of her, because at that one, we kind of all took a break on the lighting and projection side and just let her run with it. We're like, throw it up yellow and leave it at that, which I'm kind of upset I didn't get to sit through the set, because I start getting Drew and Kenny on the headset. They're like, yo, Mike can't hear anything in the ears. So I had to spend almost all of her set running around getting it fixed. Because if he had only been playing for her set, I might have just been like, it is what it is. But then I was like, oh, he's playing for the next one too, so I probably should get that fixed, because he's going to be up there a while.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was intentional for Synovia to go there also, because I knew she's an artist that can carry that right there. And we had Doc getting ready to come up next. So it was like, all right, get a chance to regroup. Synovia, she doesn't need a lot in order to
thrive,
produce an amazing set. She's taking care of all that. She does all the groundwork. So I think it would have been robbery to start off that way, jerking the curtain. Not saying, jerking the curtain's a bad thing, because I'm a firm believer the way you start and the way you end are pillars in your shows.
Yep.
So,
well, it was also important, I think, to not do her at the beginning, because she was pretty much the only not hip hop artist up there. And if we had done her at the beginning, it would have felt like, all right, let's just get this out of the way and get to hip hop.
Yep.
Absolutely. No, it was perfectly designed, guys. Shout out to Synovia. Synovia is one of the only people that can come to creatives and drop her name in all 4 buckets and it not be a lie. She's that talented.
That's facts. Wow.
She's that talented. She can come and she can be a poet. She can come. She can be a rapper. She can come be a singer. She can come and literally do dance.
Yep.
She can do all 4.
Absolutely.
Like the alternative bucket, which is like dance and comedy and whatever else. Like she can put her name in all 4 buckets. She does. She does. So she always gets picked.
One for you.
Shout out to Synovia. We love you so much. The final set. We gotta talk about the man in the room. We have an entire episode dedicated to this human being back in season 1 from his Creatives concert at High Point. that we did. But Doc Hero, ladies and gentlemen, closed out FOF Fest.
We could do a whole episode just about his set.
Yes, that is a fact. It began with the lights down and a spotlight up off stage with a thing called a piano.
Pretending.
I wasn't pretending. I have it on video. You can actually hear me playing the piano thanks to Jamil. I do. I'm gonna release it.
You release you playing the piano?
All right.
Release it.
Yeah, that out of
We're gonna go from the top to the bottom here.
We gotta explain to people what we're laughing about.
All right.
Go ahead, Shawn, Mr. Visionary.
You want to start? You start, and then I'll tell the truth.
Go ahead, Doc. Speak your truth, Doc.
No, we were talking from the beginning, right?
So Doc said, "I'm going to start my set with Promised Land." And so I was like, "Okay." So then he said, "Well, I want to play like the piano." I was like, "All right, well, we got a piano here. We'll pull the piano."
Well, no, Lige gave me the idea of, he said, you should do something with that piano.
There you go.
Or
Okay.
Promised Land.
Right.
I said, okay, cool. That's a great idea. We want to do it.
So the way Promised Land starts, it starts with the boom, boom, boom. Right. So it said, okay.
And I went to Sticks and I asked him, I said, which key do I need to play? And I played that key.
Now, what happened
Shout out to the
in true
producer.
form, Styx produced an amazing intro, right? But this intro did not have a boom, boom, boom. It had like chord progressions and all this other kind of stuff. And Doc walks up,
I am crying.
wiggling his shoulders like he's Ray Charles and Richard Smallwood playing us, and we know darn well he don't know A from C to E flat or sharp. I'm like, nobody's buying this. But he sold it as best as he could. If there's ever a movie of Doc playing the orchestra and Bugs Bunny whipping out the tuxedo tails, it's Doc Hero.
It's Doc Hero. He was up there bouncing his
He
shoulders.
really was. He was putting his shoulder in like.
Put his shoulders into it. And this went on for like a minute.
Oh yeah, he sold it.
He sold it for a
Sold
minute.
it. He's getting gigs at your upcoming church. He'll be your organist. He's playing weddings, funerals, bar mitzvahs, and bat mitzvahs.
Oh my goodness.
Doc Hero, the keyboard player.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
There's something we
man.
didn't see that
Oh
happened.
yeah, it's something y'all didn't see that I had to go through. So I had a candle on top of the piano. So I was like, look, when I blow out the candle, y'all black out the lights or whatever. So I blew the candle a little bit too hard. And all this wax just shot right in my face. So at this moment, Jamil's walking up. He's like, yo, do you want me to catch the next song for you? I'm so irritated. I'm like, my face is on fire. I'm trying to find my way to the other side of the stage because the next song is about to happen. I'm like, wow, I'll probably never do that again.
Oh my! I didn't know that happened until right now.
Oh yeah,
It's so funny.
it happened.
Remember that, Shawn.
There's still a bunch of wax on top of the piano
On
right
top
now.
of the piano,
Yeah,
I have to get
It's like
some video
cues at a
evidence.
church after Christmas Eve.
yeah.
Yeah, right, there you go.
That hurt. That was a stunt.
You also stood up on something to make it look like you were standing on top of the piano
Yeah,
as well.
it
Yeah,
was
because
like
that piano doesn't have a strong leg, so
No.
it'll
No.
turn into America's Funniest Home Videos if you actually stood on the
got
piano.
one of those like kind of like one of those like construction like platform things.
Yeah,
That's all.
Yeah, it was
like
cool.
a workbench.
it worked.
workbench.
I'm just saying, from an aesthetic standpoint, it was like everybody else take notes. You know what I mean?
Everyone was looking over there most of the show like, what is that under that black curtain? What? It looked out of place, and you could see it. It was not hidden. And everyone's just looking over. What the frick is that thing?
It was the piano.
That's a good thing for production.
It
It
was.
is.
It was.
You gotta
Everyone
have,
thought
you
it
gotta
was
have
just
layers in your show. Like if you're doing lighting, if you're doing sound, if you go to a concert, think about the last concert you went to besides FOF Fest. You didn't see all of the bells and whistles on the first 2 to 3 acts.
Right.
And in most cases, when you get to the main event, you ever notice the subs sound like really, really loud, like they shake your bones? Production elements. Don't show your hand.
It's good, Shawn. It's good.
That was a really good moment. Even I wanted he gave me some really encouragement afterwards, man, and it made me laugh. He was like, "Bro, like you really like did your thing." He was like, I was like really amazed. He was like, "This was like in a video game world, this is the last level."
The final boss.
The final boss. But I really appreciated that because I was like, wow, like here's his kid, you know what I mean? Like realizing like, wow, he put a lot of work, a lot of effort
into making this great.
And this is what I'm like striving towards. And
I want to do what he did.
Right.
That's what he's saying is like, how do I get there? Because he has a lot of that skill set stuff to be able to get there, but he just hasn't been exposed to what's possible in a set from a production standpoint, the way that he was that night, which I think is great. I think it's all a part of the story. But Doc, your whole set went extremely well. Doc Hero does Doc Hero things on Doc Hero stages, and you killed it, man. For real, for real.
Yeah, man. Thanks to production team, man.
Any other songs you felt like was like that was a song I feel like went really well out of your set?
That went really well. Hero Island, that was crazy. Even like some of the lighting stuff they did on Hang Out With Me, they made that song feel really well, which I was glad about because that's one of the singles I want to release. And of course, Nike Air. Like Nike Air is always going to be like a crazy one to me because I always feel like Shawn has some type of like his own moment that he always creates at the end of Nike Air. Like when you're talking about with the cones, he does something at the end all the time. And this time, I'm looking at the side of the stage, and I'm like,
see Shawn.
Tissue is like I'm being wrapped up in tissue.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Where the heck is this tissue coming from? I'm being wrapped up in tissue. Where's this tissue coming from? I look, it's Shawn
firing.
I don't know what he has in his hand.
That contraption was impressive, though. Like the way that thing was held together by duct tape, but it wasn't going nowhere.
But here goes the setup.
Hold on, for people to understand, he was shooting toilet paper rolls
with a leaf blower.
With a leaf blower into the stands, so to speak.
Yeah.
Into the audience.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So what always amazes me is like what you realize in the beginning. What was the setup? Earlier that day, Shawn's like, "Hey, do you mind grabbing some tissues?" I'm like, "Well, we got tissues at the building." He's like, do they still have like that leaf blower there? I was like, "Yeah, hex Brian." Like I'm not hex Brian. So then when I'm actually being wrapped up in toilet paper, I'm like, oh.
He was trying to give you clues all day. Trying to give you clues all day.
This is why he asked about the toilet paper and the leaf blower.
The funniest part, literally I set up like the remote controller on the iPad. So I'm controlling the graphics from my iPad during Nike Air. So I can be in my spot like, oh, it's time to go to work.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Shout out to both of you guys.
We can't skip over Deuce as well.
Oh yeah, shout out to Deuce.
Deuce did an amazing set.
Yo, what was the Hard Times?
Mama Cry.
Mama Cry. That was what he started off with?
Yeah.
Mama Cry. Like that. Oh man. That like I feel like that beginning just felt like so I don't know. What do you call it? I don't want to call it eerie.
What we call the toasters, which is just like a backlight shooting out. Yes. So you can only see the silhouette of Deuce.
Yes.
And then Deuce has like in the set, like it's his show track. It has like a doom doom. So we had like the lights up top, just kind of like flashing every time the hits went off. And it has like this amazing drop.
Crazy. I was on the side like, This is giving me goosebumps right now.
There it is. That's the goal. Goosebumps.
Yeah, that's what it did. You guys.
It's hard to explain it because if you haven't been around church events sometimes, I don't know how to describe it. It's a real concert what you guys put together.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that, other things that people do aren't real shows. They still have their value. But there's a different level whenever you say, man, the world throws these amazing concerts and they are in a lot of ways perpetuating darkness, leading people to dehumanize other human beings, do negative things, right? Sell drugs, chase after money, misogynistic, whatever, like all these different things. These people are getting $1 million budgets behind their stinking shows. And it's like, we have to compete with that. And for the most part, a lot of Christian events just don't do it well from a production standpoint. Like even just like bringing the lights down and bringing up when the people come out on stage. 99% of Christian events, those things don't happen. Those elements don't happen. Yeah. So when you get into a space where it's like for Jesus, for the kingdom, for the gospel, for people to meet him, for people to be encouraged in their faith that they already have with him, and it's excellent to the level of something that you would see at the TLA. It's just really beautiful. Like that's why I felt the whole set, like that whole final set with the lighting, with the elements, you guys being ridiculous as you always are. It was just like, man, this is a real show. And it's like, of course it's a real show. You guys are real artists, right. But it's also like, this should be our standard.
Right.
Yeah.
I always said, man, like, if we're going to do this for the kingdom, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Jesus don't do stuff whack, man.
Amen.
No more GMOs.
No more GMOs, guys.
No more.
Thank you guys a million times over for doing this episode. That was my big takeaway, was like, there's a standard here. And for us, as I said before, Ripe Creatives, it makes so much sense for us to partner with y'all as we can in the ways we can to help you guys create things like The Village, help you create FOF, rather than us try to go reinvent the wheel. It makes no sense to not partner with brothers in Christ in the city that carry the same stuff and are a part of our extended family. So for us, it was a no-brainer, right? And the reality is that's only made possible because of all the people who partner with us. Yeah. So we're just basically a funnel, right, to help people who want to give towards missions through the arts in the city of Philadelphia. We know one of the places where that tunnel is going to go, right? We know one of the ways that we're gonna funnel those things that God's given us to steward is in the direction of what you guys are doing. So, as people who are listening to this episode, if you're here and you partner with us, thank you for partnering with Ripe Creatives so that we can partner with FOF, with The Village, with Doc Hero, Shawn Prez, and the rest of the crew. Thank you for allowing us to be able to step in this direction and make an impact in the city with some amazing brothers in Christ that are doing great things. And if you're here and you're listening and you don't currently partner with Ripe Creatives, we'd encourage you, jump on our website, ripecreatives.com, click the give button, consider making a donation, partner with us so that we can do more stuff like this in the future. Any generosity, any frequency, any level is greatly, greatly appreciated. And it also helps us even produce this podcast, Time is Ripe. So we appreciate your generosity towards any of those ends. Guys, any final thoughts just about FOF Fest June 2nd, 2023 before we officially sign off?
Man, I just want to say thank you for, everything you did as far as kind of like restarting the wheel and just kind of like doing like the wake up call. This was like our first event that we've done since the pandemic. And it's really hard to go from what you had before and saying, hey, we can't really duplicate or replicate that, so let's just put it on pause. But you doing what you did and starting those conversations really kind of like said, okay, all right, we can do this. It can be done. So thank you, man.
Amen.
Same here. Thank you. Appreciate just what you help us restart just on a simple just conversation.
Yeah.
And that conversation led to the next thing, and us, reaching out to Ashley and Elijah about using the space for these up and coming events and everything like that, and all the volunteers that helped out. Like Shawn reached out to Kenny, and Kenny was just willing to help out as well. And
shout out to the legend.
Shout out to the legend, man. And everybody else behind the scenes that helped us. I mean, Heather at the door, Dar at the door, like
Absolutely.
all those things help what we're trying to accomplish.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Definitely more to come. We did FOF Fest. The Village is going to happen again.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you guys want to follow the journey, you know, hit us up on Instagram, FOF Collective, and we'll see you guys very soon.
Yep. And you'll probably see a lot of FOF and Ripe Creatives on the same Instagram stuff. So a lot of our tags are collaborative and things like that. So if you follow us, you should be able to find FOF pretty easily. A lot of the reels that we posted over the last few months have been in connection together. So, Jarrett, anything from your end?
Thank you guys for trusting me and letting me run with what I do. I don't know how many events there are that I'll go in and I have people breathing down my neck because they don't think that I understand what I'm doing. And you guys know I do what I do and let me run with it.
No. Thank you, Jarrett.
Thank you, Jarrett.
Shame
The
on those
A1.
people.
Jarrett, I'll fight in war and battle any day, man.
Bro, I'll take you.
Listen, y'all,
Take
thank
the
you a million times over for listening to today's episode. I know it was a long one. It was a full one, but I hope you got something great out of it. Artists, there's a lot in here for y'all to pick up on and take hold of and lean into as you develop your craft and want to figure out, how do I do this for Jesus, and in doing it for Jesus, be excellent in doing it for him. Excellence is so key, y'all. If you want to make an impact in this culture and you want to reach the next generation, you have to be excellent. I think there's a lot of P's and Q's to take from Doc Hero and Shawn Prez and FOF and this whole thing. So thank you guys for being a part of the episode. Top Mop, as always, thank you. And until next time, y'all, as always, stay right.
Mama, look.
Put your soul in check like a night air.